In December of 1775, a couple named George and Kathy Lutz would move into a house with their 3 children at 112 Ocean Avenue, in a neighborhood known as Amityville on the south shore of Long Island, New York. Just 28 days later, the Lutz family would flee the house, claiming that evil entities in the house were torturing them during their stay. This case would later go on to be known as one of the most famous hauntings in United States history. This is the story of the Amityville Horror. Hello everyone, my name is MrLex, and today we will be talking about the paranormal tragedies that befell the Lutz family during the Amityville haunting. But before we do, if you like scary, paranormal, and overall just mysterious dark stories, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell, because that's exactly what we do here. And if you feel so inclined, please leave us a like and a comment letting us know your scary stories and suggestions for what story that we should be doing on our next video. Now, on to the story. On November 13th of 1974, Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family at 112 Ocean Avenue, a large Dutch colonial house located in the suburban neighborhood known as Amityville, located in the south of Long Island, New York. He was a troubled young man addicted to drugs and alcohol. Some believe that it was because of how he was treated by his father. One night, though, Ronald DeFeo snapped and went around the entire house, shooting all 6 of his family members in their sleep. He was convicted of second-degree murder in 1975 and sentenced to 25 to life in prison. DeFeo would later die in prison in March of 2021. After the house sat empty for 13 months, the Lutz family would then purchase this home later on in December of 1975, and almost immediately, strange happenings would begin. The Lutz family got this property for a serious bargain, having only paid $80,000 for the house. It was a Dutch colonial-style home consisting of 5 bedrooms, and it had a distinctive gambrel roof. It also came with a swimming pool and a bathhouse, and it was located on a canal. It was a very nice property, and for the Lutz family, it was their dream home. When George and Kathy Lutz married in July of 1975, they both had their own homes at the time, but they decided that they wanted to start their marriage fresh with a new property. Kathy had 3 children from a previous marriage: Daniel, age 9, Christopher, age 7, and her daughter, Melissa, they nicknamed Missy, who was age 5. The family also owned a Malamute Labrador mix. It was a dog named Harry. When they first went to go look at the house before buying it, the realtor was honest with them. The one that was showing them the house informed that the DeFeo murders had taken place there, and obviously made sure that it wouldn't affect their decision. It did not, because they did not believe that houses carried memories, so it didn't matter to them. When the Lutz family moved in, much of the DeFeo's property, their furniture, and belongings were still in the house because it was included as part of the deal for an extra $400. Before moving in, though, George Lutz was an active businessman, and after moving in, once the occurrences started, he found himself to no longer be himself. He was now a sluggish and irritable man, waking up every night at 3:15 a.m. unable to go back to sleep, the exact time when the murders of the DeFeos took place. One night, George saw his 5-year-old daughter Missy standing by her bedroom window. He notices, next to Missy, the outline of a pig's face with bright red eyes standing behind her. He immediately runs up and goes and checks on Missy, only to find that she's in her bed asleep. And then to add to his horror, later on he would recount Missy telling him that she had made a new imaginary friend that she had been playing with. This imaginary friend, Missy described, was a pig named Jody. This was just the beginning of the creepy incidents that would occur in this house, targeting George and his family. One night, George would look down at his wife, Kathy, during one of his periods of being unable to get back to sleep after waking up again at 3:15 a.m. And what he saw was horrifying. He saw his wife, only she had been transformed right before his eyes into a 90-year-old woman that looked nothing like her, as though she had aged dramatically. It was reported that his wife would go through these strange spurts of where she would just age ridiculously fast, and it would appear as if she was just a new person entirely, only much older. Her mother witnessed Kathy as well, going through the dramatic aging processes. Far more strange occurrences continued to happen after this during their short stay in the Amityville house. doors would be found ripped off their hinges. Flies would swarm the home in the middle of the winter, and one day they found what happened to be cloven footprints in the snow outside of their front door, as though a demon had been walking around their house and spying on them, peering into their house and attempting to break in. One day, they saw what appeared to be green slime oozing from their walls, or what some may call ectoplasm. And they even discovered a small secret room in the basement of the house that was not on the house's original blueprints. The room was painted the color of blood, and was only big enough for 2 people to fit inside, so long as they were right on top of each other, in a very intimate position. George once attempted to take the family dog down in the basement, but the dog was having none of what George was selling. No, the dog refused to go down there and it backed away. The dog was cowering from something. This was the only time that George ever remembered their dog acting like this. It was completely out of the ordinary behavior for this dog. On another occasion, it was nighttime, and George, after waking up yet again from one of his strange 3:15 a.m. insomnia episodes, heard what he thought was a band playing downstairs. This prompted George to go investigate, thinking some people had broken in his home and started having a party on the first floor. He gets down there to where he had heard the music, and he finds no one. No one was there. But the carpet had been rolled up, and the furniture had been pushed to the side as if someone or something had made room to start dancing in his house. On other occasions, they saw a nearby garage door repeatedly opening and closing, and a knife in the kitchen that would repeatedly get knocked off the counter as if some invisible force was pushing it over. And on one particularly horrifying night, he saw his wife Kathy and their 2 sons, Daniel and Christopher, all asleep, only they were levitating over their beds. George, coming to a breaking point, needed to confide about these strange occurrences with somebody, and he tells a friend about the strange happenings. The friend suggests that George contact a priest and have the house blessed after his friend had heard about the tragic history behind the house and the murders that took place there. George was a non-practicing Methodist with no idea what a blessing of his house would entail, but his wife, who was a non-practicing Catholic, did, and she explained the process to George. It would turn out that George actually knew a Catholic priest named Father Ray. George asked him to carry out the ceremony on their home, and Father Ray agreed to do so. Father Ray's real name was Father Ralph J. Pecoraro. He was a lawyer, a judge of the Catholic court, and a psychotherapist. Father Ray has come forward with his account of the incidents that occurred at this house under means of anonymity to clarify the disputes people were having over what actually happened to him during the blessing. Father Ray claims that after he threw that first spritz of holy water, some invisible force slapped him in the face, and he heard a disembodied male voice scream at him to "Get out!" When he left the house, he didn't mention this incident to George or Kathy. Father Ray actually fell ill shortly afterwards, developing a high fever and blisters on his hands similar to stigmata, the nails that bore through Jesus' hands while he was up on the cross. However, his sacrifice meant nothing, and his blessing was all in vain. On January 14th of 1976, a night far scarier than anything that they had experienced so far, which is saying a lot considering what these people had been through, George especially, having been experiencing things ranging from the pig apparitions to the doors torn off their hinges to ectoplasm and furniture moved, demonic footprints and something clearly spying on them, as well as the mental effects and not sleeping. He was just putting up with it. This night would drive them all to flee their home, leaving all of their belongings in the house after just 28 days of living in it, never to return. The family didn't know that they were never going to come back that day. They just knew they needed to get out of that house. And after telling their story, George and Kathy Lutz both took a lie detector test, and the test found that both of them were being truthful. The son Daniel currently lives a quiet life in New York, working as a stonemason, and he claims till this day that he still has nightmares about the horror he and his family experienced while living in that house. The house remains standing today, and whatever your opinion on the validity of this story may be, it is definitely a scary one. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment with your own scary suggestions and experiences, and remember to subscribe and tap the bell to get all of our future uploads, because we'll be uploading several times a week with the creepiest hauntings, true crimes, and paranormal stories that we can find. I'm sorry this was a shorter video, but there will be some more longer ones coming up later on. Until then, I'm Mr. Lex, and I'll be seeing you guys again next video.